just can't take no more games.
You on that one, my man.
Okay, Thursday edition of the After Show. Got Wink and Justice with you. Wink over here on the East Coast.
And Justice on the West Coast. It is, thank God it's Giovedi. That's what we call Thursday. That's right. We honor the great God Joe because Thursday is truly the gateway to the weekend.
Heck yeah.
And with that stated, how are you doing, Wink?
Not bad, not bad. It is 56 degrees, raining out there today, but I guess we needed some rain, so there we go. And I'm going to get the lawn mowed eventually this week, but I don't know. Everything seems to get in the way of that. But anyway, just a reminder to get in the chat. Just go to netrootsradio.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, and on the right-hand side of the bottom of the page, there is a link to the chat. So click that and join us there.
And if you've ever followed Wink's directions, you would notice that in the general area to the left of the chat room link is the donate button.
Yeah.
But before you even get down there, as soon as you open the page, you're going to see something that says, hey, vote.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because it's pretty damn important. I don't care how many Russian hackers there are. They can't hack at all.
That's it. Yep.
If we have a lot of people voting.
Right.
Okay. Truly. Well, Wink, here along the banks of the Rogue River in the Rogue River Valley of Southern Oregon, it is currently 53 degrees and raining.
Ah, okay.
So your
raining
coast
on both
is
coasts, apparently.
Yeah. This shows what kind of elitists we are.
Yes.
Now we are slated for a good 5 to 7 days of rain, and the papers up here in the Northwest are calling it a potential historic storm.
Wow. Okay.
Now, I mentioned before, I live in a rainforest. There's been a lot of storms come through here. And for one to be called historic, well, I don't know. Sounds like it might be a lot.
Exactly.
So, we'll see. And but just remember one thing, Wayne. Climate change is a hoax.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Is a hoax.
Yeah. Damn liberals, sons of bitches. Yeah.
Donald Trump is going off the deep end. I've been reading that, for the next few weeks, it's going to be really bad. He's a caged animal. He's been wounded.
Yeah.
And what do wounded animals do? Well, they lash about, rattle the cage, irrational, just spontaneous tics and behaviors.
Yep.
Ooh, boy. So, I don't know. It's just, I keep reading these pundits saying, well, all these closeted Trump supporters, we're afraid to come out because they might be ridiculed.
Yeah.
They don't exist. I have not met a Trump supporter yet that's shy about being a Trump supporter.
Right.
And is perfectly willing to let you and everybody around know it.
Right. Yep.
I don't care where they are. They're I'm at the hospital, in the waiting room and at ER, and you got these Trump guys talking about Trump and all these, they didn't say mud people, but that's what they were meaning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
It's just absolute impunity. So of course, it's kind of weird because I live in a county, but it's more aligned with Medford. But where we live is closer to Grants Pass, which is, I'm just over the county line.
Yep.
So I get more stuff from Grants Pass. But the Republican headquarters for the county next to me is in Grants Pass. So when I'm in town to do things, I have to drive by them, and they're out there with their signs and they're giving their, thumbs up, and, I'm like, where's the Clinton headquarters? Well, they have to hide.
Yes.
They used to advertise Clinton headquarters or Democratic headquarters,
Right.
Clinton signs. But so much vandalism occurred that they decided, maybe it's not wise to let everybody know where we are.
Right.
So I'm curious where these shy wallflower Trump supporters are who are afraid to come out in public and let everyone know who they are because they could be ridiculed and be called deplorable. Oh.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you, corporate media, for doing what you've done. We are now where we are because we had a complicit media. And, I want to call us the alternate media, which we are. But
Yep.
we're not even as big as the White Rose Society from Nazi Germany. The students that went around and tacked up pamphlets on campus. And they were found out and shot to death by a firing squad. So when I hear things like, well, we want to go back to the good old days. Yeah, that's what they mean. The good old days when you could do that. Stupid liberal opponents. How dare they? It can happen here. So, but I will say, regardless of, whatever small influence we may have, our prime directive was to be out there and be the counter to the corporate media. And yeah, we have an agenda. We want to, personally, we want to elect more and better Democrats. But we hold Democrats' feet to the fire because that's who we are. We're Democrats. We don't have loyalty oaths, non-disclosure agreements.
Right.
We want sunshine. Open it up. Okay, these are the issues we're going to be attending to today, Wink, and they are: parents from a Greek village near Athens lock out refugee children from school over fears that they are diseased. It's kind of a theme. Goes around the world. It's really weird. Hey, tired of being associated with Donald Trump? Students revolt against Liberty University President Jerry Falwell Jr. Because Falwell came out and said, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Trump could rape a 10-year-old girl, and I'd still want him for president.
Yeah.
Because Hillary is that evil.
Yes.
Unbelievable. And, boy, thank God, we have a international organization that looks at the powerful, Wink, and they see the powerful, and they say this power needs to be exposed. Because exposure truly is the only thing that is an antiseptic. And like I said, we want sunshine, don't we?
Hell yeah.
Don't we? Well, Clinton's WikiLeaks emails reveal that John Podesta arrogantly ignored Blink-182 guitarist Tom DeLonge's pleas to disclose the government's secret files on space aliens and UFOs. What a jackbooted government thug Podesta is.
Yeah.
Now, on the last half, we're going to report that defendants in the Bundy trial testify that it was God that told them to save America by taking over an Oregon wildlife nature preserve.
Right.
God told them to do it. Have they had their psych tests yet, Wink? I'm pretty sure they've had their psych tests. Is it too late to, we can't really convict them of a crime because they're crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that'll fly.
Well,
They might get off on that.
Ending up on what I consider to be an up note, better known for colorful fleece, Patagonia really wants its customers to vote. And I don't know why, when I wrote out my show notes, Wink, for some reason, spell check,
Yeah.
Corrected customers and turned it into costumers,
Yeah.
which makes perfect sense also.
Yeah.
But
This time of year, yeah.
Yeah, they were. They're costumers.
Yeah.
Well, all that plus the Connect, Unite, Act, Daily Codes, community calendar, and more on the after show with that ever so fine fellow on his rainy East Coast with his barely noticeable East Coastal elitism, but it's there. By date of the fact that he's on the East Coast, it's there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And his name is Wink. And this guy all the way back over here on the West Coast. And it's more than just being a West Coast elitist. Oh, man. Oh, man. You know, if there wasn't a Donald Trump, there would have been a me. Except for one thing. Well, first, let me just say my name is Justice. And I don't believe that sex should be conquest, Wink. You know, like this locker room talk about sexual conquest? What the hell?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sex is conquest? What kind of generation are you in, buddy?
Yeah, that's going back to about 10,000 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Or, I don't know, Rat Pack days. Maybe Trump wants to be like who he thinks Sinatra and the boys were.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I don't know. Let me just say, if I was poet, philosopher, king, if beautiful women don't come to you, it's probably wise just to sort of like leave them alone.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
That's the edict I would put out. But there would be some other arbitrary things that people probably wouldn't like, you know, so that's why we don't have poet, philosopher, kings. That's why we vote. So thank God Giovedi is going to be doing what they're going to be doing. Hey, Bob Dylan won the Nobel for Literature.
Awesome.
Finally.
Yeah.
Now he's been nominated many times, and there's always been a argument, a debate about whether popular music, has a place in art because it's driven by commerce and all of that, right? But Bob Dylan, I've always thought that he bridged a multidisciplinary approach to things. The use of music and poetry and storytelling and political import melded with metaphysics. What it is that we're here and why. All of these elements exist in his work, and I've always gauged like a work to be art with a capital A when you can look at it and not know the actual story that motivated the telling of this, but it somehow makes sense. So it has a timeless quality. It's not tied to a particular incident.
Right.
Even though it is. So you don't need to know about the particular incident to sort of glean some meaning in your own life. And Bob Dylan has this uncanny ability to use common language, as McLean said, that came from you and me, to tell that story. And so if poetry is to use the most perfect word and string those words together, he has that ability to use these common phrases that resonate as cultural meaning. And so they finally recognize that is, literature, and it has power.
Yeah.
Of course, the same arguments were made against Hemingway, whether, his kind of writing was literature because it was so spare. It was more newspaperman writing. Fancy that.
Yeah.
How many years was he with the Toronto Star?
Yep.
And why did he decide to drop all the adjectives, or as many as he could? Because you don't put adjectives in journalistic writing, and he wanted to get to the core of something. But yeah, there was big arguments about even whether Hemingway was deserving, his writing was deserving of something that would be considered, art with a capital A.
Right.
So there's that. So I that's great. Bob Dylan. I think probably my favorite, though it's really hard because I need to go through the whole herb again. But the one that I tend to quote the most from Dylan is steal a little and they throw you in jail. Steal a lot and they make you king.
Indeed.
And that's an example of how he synthesizes something down that it has, it makes as much sense as with Cleopatra as it does with, Bob Roberts. Right? There you are.
Indeed.
Okay. Greek parents lock out refugee children from school over fears they are diseased. Well, of course. And this is by Out of Think Progress by immigration reporter Esther Ushile. Or it could be Lee. Ushile. It's hard. Depends on. Well, actually, I think with the shoe, she would be Mandarin rather than Cantonese. Nonetheless, about 100 Greek police officers had to escort refugee children on the first day of school this week after a small group of parents gathered at the school gate to protest their attendance with Greek flags. You know how we got our people, USA, USA.
Oh, yeah.
The officers stood by as 40 puzzled-looking children from Syria and Afghanistan entered school grounds in Prophetus, a village located about 21 miles from Athens. The children were escorted through an alternative entrance after 20 parents shut down and padlocked the gate to the school to protest the decision to allow them into public schools. Some parents claimed that the refugee children had not been vaccinated. Now, Agence France-Presse reports that one parent shouted, "Our children will be raped, and then who will take responsibility? They'll have these terrible diseases after they rape my kids." Why would they be thinking things like this? We were told these children have been vaccinated, but we don't believe them. Where have I heard that before? Facts don't mean anything. It's like what Newt Gingrich said. It's how people feel. If they feel crime is rising, even though all the facts, go ahead and use your facts. That's what he was telling this reporter.
Right.
How inherently bad. Because people think for some reason that they should have more power and credence than how people feel about a thing. So, I feel that there's crime rising in the neighborhood, and there's somebody walking by, and I don't know. I think it's a creepy clown, but it's just a lady walking her dog. But I felt that I was being threatened. Which confuses me because I thought we were supposed to be a nation of laws, not a nation of men. Meaning that men make up arbitrary things and then they make laws unto themselves, rather than a law that supersedes what a particular individual determines that should happen. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Just in this reported opinion, of course. Earlier in the year, the Greek Ministry of Education announced that it would enroll 20,000 migrant and refugee children in schools. The children enrolled at the Prophetus School are part of a pilot program to get 1,500 students to attend 20 schools nationwide in Greece for four-hour lessons about after the local pupils finish for the day. For 4-hour lessons after. So they go to school, then they have another 4 hours of learning Greek and the difference between the Nordic gods and the Greek gods, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Right? Officials have said that the children attending schools in the program must have prior vaccinations. Other areas of the country greeted the refugee students more warmly. At another school in Thessaloniki, local mayor Yanis Budaris brought sweets for the children, welcoming them with applause. These children fled war. They fled hell, Boutros said. Soon they will learn Greek, and soon you will all be able to play together. Tension has boiled over in many European Union countries as more people cross the Mediterranean to flee persecution, violence, and insecurity in their home countries. And Greece is no exception. The UN Refugee Agency estimates that more than 160,000 people have arrived in Greece this year, nearly half of them from Syria, where they're fleeing a civil war, where, they use chlorine bombs in contravention of NATO and Nuremberg rules and laws. But it's okay. There might be some terrorists among those civilians. Better to kill a whole block to get one person you feel might be guilty, huh? In September, graffiti was found at an elementary school that read, "Migrants are the curse of the earth." Well, that's nice. Refugee and migrant children in other countries have experienced similar xenophobic behavior. Italian parents forced a private Catholic school to make separate restroom arrangements for 2 refugee children recently. Both children lost their parents during the journey to the European Union. And soccer fans tossed coins at and watched as refugee children scrambled after the money in France. What cruel BS. God. And across the Atlantic, and I think they're pointing a finger at us, Wink.
Yeah.
Parents in the United States have stood in protest of buses carrying refugee children from Central America, shouting at them to return. And some U.S. public schools have intentionally made it difficult for these children to enroll in school. There might be a creepy clown terrorist among these refugee kids. God. Grr.
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
Now, I've never been a big fan of Liberty University. I hear it's accredited.
Yeah.
But the whole construct of it was always a dubious operation to me.
Right. I thought it was done, actually. I didn't know it was still existing here. I guess it is. Okay.
There's a pipeline from evangelical America. That's Notre Dame. It's Regent that you're thinking of. Regent University is having a bit more difficult time of it.
Yeah.
Liberty seems to be flourishing.
Yeah, sadly.
But both are onerous.
Yeah.
Regardless. But, kids being kids, sometimes, they have these active minds,
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
And it's really weird how education will almost like flip switches that people didn't know they had. And they start making these neural connections. And in another time, that was called knowledge. And so even these kids at Liberty University have acquired a little bit of knowledge. And what does knowledge do? Well, then it causes you to want to question your surroundings, to figure out why things that don't make sense cause people to do things that don't make sense. And this is by Brad Reed out of Raw Story. Liberty University President Jerry Falwell Jr. is continuing to stand by Donald Trump's presidential candidacy, but some of his students are rebelling. According to The Hill, we'll just have to go with this. You know about The Hill.
Yeah, we do.
Talk about I guess they want to be, the new HuffPo.
I guess.
Look, they're an election away from side boob stuff. You know it. That's
right. It's on the
but
way.
regardless, they still have some journalistic chops, and they got this one. So according to The Hill, a student group called Liberty United Against Trump issued a statement decrying Falwell's endorsement, while lamenting the way that Trump has come to be associated with their Christian university.
Yeah.
It is funny.
Yeah.
It is funny. Yeah. I mean, because you really see the grifters among that movement.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah.
Now, they may harbor some of these beliefs about whatever it is their cosmology is, right? But really, they're in it for the money. They know where the rooms are.
Yes.
So, I was kind of thought that somebody was a televangelist like Jerry Falwell Sr. He knew a room when he saw one. And he was perfectly willing to part them with their money.
Oh, hell yeah.
Quote, in the months since Jerry Falwell Jr. endorsed him, Donald Trump has been inexorably associated with Liberty University, the students write. We are Liberty students who are disappointed with President Falwell's endorsement and are tired of being associated with one of the worst presidential candidates in American history, unquote. They then go on to note that Falwell's endorsement isn't just a stain upon Liberty University, but on their religion itself. Now, according to the students, they say associating any politician with Christianity is damaging to the gospel of Jesus Christ, they write. But Donald Trump is just not any politician. He has made his name by maligning others and bragging about his sins. Not only is Donald Trump a bad candidate for president, he has actively promoted the very things that we Christians ought to oppose. Well, gee, I think some of us have been saying that, for ever since the rise of Republican right-wing power aligning itself with the evangelical movement. Why are you, as an evangelical, aligning yourself with this person? Well, we believe in the power of forgiveness. These are all in the past, and he has forgiven. And it's always a he, by the way. He has forgiven his, sins, and we forgive him. He is now on a path to righteousness with our great Jesus Christ. And it's always Jesus Christ, right? It's not somebody coming to, an epiphany with a personage other than.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not going to be Buddha. Okay. It's not going to be one of the Bodhisattvas. No way. Forgiveness. He said he was sorry. All right. The students in particular slammed Falwell for defending Trump's remarks about grabbing women's genitals, which they said trivialized the very real problem and that problem is sexual assault. Wow. These kids are starting to sound like liberals. What the hell? Or maybe it resonates with them because, when we're talking about living in a society, there's this little thing called civility.
Yep.
And they told all this time that that's political correctness.
Right.
Forcing me to be nice to other people, that's against my rights as an American to live the life I want to live, and I don't want to be nice to anybody, anytime, anywhere, and you can't force me. And I think some of these kids are going, well, wait a second. I thought we were supposed to, help the poor, save souls. not send them to hell. We're all sinners, Falwell told the media, as if sexual assault is a shoulder-shrugging issue rather than an atrocity which plagues college campuses across America, including our own, they write. Well, good for those kids. I kind of think that they probably violated campus rules, and they'll be going up in front of a kangaroo court. And Kevin Bacon will probably be issuing out the spankings.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Thank God for WikiLeaks. Because, when people don't divulge their deepest secrets, we don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, and then the government overreach to keep things from the people. And this is posted from the International Business Times by Eric Garofalo. When WikiLeaks released more leaked emails from Hillary Clinton's campaign this month, journalists and news hounds pored over the documents to see if they confirmed any of the criticisms and suspicions levied against the Democratic nominee, but no one expected to find this. The emails revealed that Tom DeLonge, the former guitarist of the popular rock band Blink-182, popular? I guess they were at one time, for about a summer, reached out to John Podesta, the chair of the Clinton campaign, about UFOs. DeLonge emailed Podesta at least twice advocating for the disclosure of government information he claims would confirm sightings of unidentified flying objects. The emails are the latest in the musician's long-standing preoccupation with extraterrestrials. Hey, are you there?
Yeah, I'm just muted. Yeah.
I'm sorry. File just came in. I just want to make sure we weren't disconnected. I just wanted to say, for the longest time in the mountain community that my mom and stepdad used to live in the Cascades,
yeah,
there would be these UFO sightings and all sorts of weird stuff, And my stepfather, having a military background, surmised that it was some sort of, secret aircraft under development. And of course, everybody says, no, it's UFOs. And it turns out to be like one of the stealth aircraft that we consider to be very common now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so when we hear about these secret files of UFOs, they weren't ever UFOs. They were identified, but they were in development for military application, and the military didn't want people to know about it.
There you go.
Right? And so Podesta, I'm going to just get to the meat of this. Podesta, like any reasonable person, would say, oh, my God, another Area 54, whatever it is, Area 51, loon, right?
Right.
And because this guy is a former guitarist of a quote popular alt-right indie band,
one hit wonder, basically. Yeah,
they had a couple of hits.
Yeah, they did. They had a couple, 3 hits.
I don't know.
Yeah,
most of them went directly from their manufactured, fabricated alt indie boy band thing,
right?
And went to doing game show hostings and celebrity.
Yeah, celebrity stuff. Yeah.
But because this guy thinks he has some sort of influence because he's been a celebrity, that he can just tell Podesta, hey, look, you're in a position of power now. Release the secret UFO files.
Yeah.
But I just love it. WikiLeaks just puts this out like, wow, what a jackbooted thing for Podesta to do. Just to ignore DeLonge's pleas because everybody knows those files are there. Okay. I don't know. Like I keep hearing people say, when you've got Putin, Assange, ISIS, and there's one other one in there too. They all want one candidate to win. They might be trying to say something.
Yeah.
Well, that's also in this reporter's opinion. There's enough if about all of it to make one wonder.
There
Hey,
you go.
we better get to our Jim Hightower break. I'm sorry, I haven't put a new one up, but it's great. He's good no matter what time. And then we'll come back and go through the Connect Unite Act community calendar and the stories for the last half. And you are listening to the After Show on Netroots Radio with Week of Justice, and we will be right back.
The media establishment has labeled Donald Trump a populist, endorsing his absurd assertion that while he might be a billionaire, he'll be our billionaire, fighting for us commoners. I'm not telling anyone how to vote, and I certainly understand the inclination to grab the biggest stick you can find to whack the bejesus out of those political and corporate elites holding you and your family down. And Trump has sold himself as the biggest, baddest stick around. But I am here to say, don't be a sucker. There's not a single populist muscle in Donnie's whole plutocratic body. He'll sell out wage earners, small business people, and anyone else to serve his own needs or whims, as his lifelong record, as opposed to his recent rhetoric, reveals. Donnie learned to be self-serving from his father, Fred, who became a millionaire by getting federal housing subsidies to build apartment buildings in New York City. Then, as landlord, he flagrantly discriminated against black people trying to rent an apartment. One of Fred's tenants was none other than Woody Guthrie, who was so appalled by Daddy Trump's greed and racism that he wrote songs denouncing him. The Donald not only inherited Fred's fortune, but also his business ethics, including engaging in wage theft, outsourcing his expensive Trump-branded products to such low-wage countries as China and Vietnam, and illegally using and underpaying undocumented immigrants to build his luxury projects. Also, he's been sued hundreds of times for stiffing cabinet makers, plumbers, and other small business suppliers. This is Jim Hightower saying, Donald J. Trump is a swaggering son of privilege who has never been on the side of working people and most certainly would not be a populist president. To the contrary, in his heart, mind, and his whole being, he's nothing but a Trumpist of, by, and for himself.
Need an antidote to the progressive blues? Want some good news about how grassroots folks are rebelling against the corporate powers and winning? Well, here's an easy-to-swallow pill for you, the Hightower Lowdown. Hightower's monthly newsletter will give you the lowdown, even as it lifts you up. It's 4 pages a month, jam-packed with facts you can use, actions you can take, and Jim's own Texas humor, all for only $15 a year. To become a lowdowner, go to hightowerlowdown.org.
Powered by Unity Networks. You are listening to netrootsradio.com.
Please hang up and try again.
From a point at sea to the circles of your mind, a new force is at work for planetary transformation. New radio for a new Earth.
Okay, we're back.
And indeed, we're back, and thank you for sticking with us. This is the After Show of the Week of Justice. Justice here along the banks of a rainy Rogue River Valley, the actual river on the West Coast. And Week is in upstate New York 21. In a rainy East Coast, upstate New York 21, by the way. And let's see. Oh, and our crew are in the cloud. I don't think the cloud they're in is raining,
Right.
but there's some stuff bouncing around there for sure. But it's because of their advanced intergalactic technical abilities that allows Netroots Radio, and thus by extension the After Show, to span the globe, the universe, and beyond.
Heck yeah.
Sure.
Heck yeah.
Sure. Today's Connect Unite Act Daily Coast community calendar is facilitated, as it is every Thursday, unless it isn't, by Paradise 50. And his question is, are you ready for winter? And you done any specific winterizing yet?
Well, just my vehicle. Other than that, I don't do a whole lot. Got the shovels ready, but they're always I have the shovels out 24/7, 365. So
there you go.
Yeah, they're just right there where they always are. So yeah, there's nothing.
No, we put up. Well, we did some weatherizing. I would say we put in new thermal windows throughout the whole house, and so that they're rated for both reflecting heat and then also keeping in heat when it's winter time. Had to put in new air ducts for the heater. It's one of these like carrier forced air type things.
Yep.
So we had to deal with that. New roof and roof jacks, vents. I mean, that's totally helps.
Yep. I'm
in the midst of making a pad for a big old shed that I'm building in the back.
Awesome.
And that's going to help this winter too. So I got that's some hardscape. I got to get that finished. And what else? Oh yeah, the slab where I have the gazebo. It's seen its better days. So I'm just rather than break it all up and pour another one.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just going to do a quick fix and push in vinyl cement. That's kind of a mortar thing that has some flexibility. I push that in all the cracks and then scree it off, and then I can paint the thing, and it has some water repellent value. But just no use letting water and ice spread those cracks even further.
That's right.
Pack them up, and they'll hide pretty well when I put on the covering on the the
absolutely.
So that's kind of like my of course also the garden. I've got all sorts of things being changed out, and being protected for the winter. I have a couple of little greenhouses that I can protect things in. So I'm getting, those are all set up. Because you never know. I mean, we keep hearing about we're losing our spring and fall. We're just having summer and winter. So you think, I've got all fall to take care of stuff before winter happens. Well, you might not have all that time.
Exactly.
Okay, October 24th. That's coming up.
Yes.
It's a Monday from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. in Asheville. The Daily Co's Asheville Cossacks will be meeting up at White Duck Taco, 12 Biltmore Avenue in Asheville, North Carolina. Randall is usually the point person for this, but go to the Connect Unite Act Daily Co's community diary and go to the appropriate links to add your name. And coming up, save this date, Saturday, November 19th at 1 p.m. in the wine country in the town of Windsor at a private residence, and I know who they are. It's going to be the San Francisco Cossacks holiday party. So send Navajo a Cos mail to RSVP, and also state your potluck item.
Yeah.
It's soirees like that are the reason I never throw away my Jell-O molds. I didn't get rid of my fondue set because eventually they will be back in vogue.
Heck yeah.
Trust me. And that is your Connect Unite Hack Daily Co's community calendar for the 13th of October.
Yes.
Halloween's not only coming up, but they're going to be changing the time on us, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Well, I will say, just thinking of Halloween, and then it just makes me think of creepy clowns again. At least Ronald McDonald is finally getting hit by it. I mean,
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I was complaining about Ronald McDonald way before creepy clowns became a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
It wasn't because I thought he was creepy. Well, creepy in the sense that, trying to entice little kids to come and buy.
Right.
Right. And then pass it off with like, oh, well, I've come to make some little sick kid with cancer happy. Here, have a Big Mac. You're so thoughtful. That was creepy.
Yeah. Yep.
But I've been reading reports that Ronald McDonald is suffering from this creepy clown.
McDonald's is taking a hit, I guess, on this. Yeah.
I wouldn't say McDonald's, but
right.
Because Ronald McDonald goes around to schools.
Yes.
Because they have cafeterias, and they try to set up alliances to serve, Big Macs.
Right.
In the cafeteria, and or just do their brand in some fashion, like fund the homecoming parade, that kind of thing.
Right.
So the actual Ronald McDonald person going out to these events, that he's suffering, and well, he should. But not because of the creepy clown thing. I mean, if it's creepy clowns, at least some good's coming out.
Right, exactly.
All right, this next story is out of the International Business Times, and I'll have a couple of comments about how it's written as we go along. And it's written by Courtney Drakeford. Well, she tried. The Oregon trial of 7 men who were arrested for rallying in a national bird sanctuary earlier this year has been underway for about a month and has already taken some very unusual turns. First of all, they weren't rallying. It was called a military takeover. Rallying? Sounds like a homecoming parade, Wink.
Okay. Yeah, there's something crazy there. Yeah, you're right.
Something totally crazy. While one man insisted during questioning this week that God called upon him to protest the government during the weeks-long armed occupation of the wildlife refuge, another decided to represent himself and flirt with a witness on the stand. Ryan Bundy, whose brother Ahmed Bundy was the leader of the 41-day rally. Rally?
Rally, yeah, right, yeah.
Rally? Now, I just, this is how critical thinking works. It's very simple. This is the most simple example of critical thinking. You take the personages of this event, these seven men, and there's some women involved too, and they take over a federal facility for 41 days. Okay? Now imagine that they have guns in this armed takeover. And we're talking military guns. All right? Now also imagine that they're espousing anti-government viewpoints. That the government is overreaching its powers to wrest things from the civilian population. And the only way that we can defend ourselves is to defend ourselves by taking over a federal facility and making a stand. Now, have you got that imagined? Now imagine all these people are black. God told me to take this over. God told me to try to get people who are being taken away to jail out of jail, if by force, if necessary. Any means necessary. I can imagine what would happen then. Okay. So Eamon is acting as his own lawyer. And so and he questioned his wife, Angela Bundy, on Tuesday. And on the stand, the two were very casual with one another during the questioning. At one point, he asked her how she was doing. And she blew a kiss at him and said, "Missing you." Angela Bundy also testified that her husband had no intention of occupying the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge back in January because he only packed one change of clothes. and she expected him home within 48 hours of initial departure. But as soon as he got out of the house, he said, "Oh, man, I'm going to the hardware store and sporting goods store and buy some clothes because I'm staying there for a while. I don't care what the bee tells me." Back in 48 hours. Give me an effing break. Does she know who's the man in the house? Well, I think in this reporter's opinion, I can imagine that. Another defendant named Kenneth Mendenbach took the stands Tuesday and stated that he had a long history of protesting against land management laws, and his participation in the rally was a reflection of his cause. This is the only Oregon resident in this group, by the way. And he has a bit of a reputation. And I got to tell you, it isn't because of his reasoned, passionate stand. Because there's nothing reasoned about the passionate stand he has. It didn't bother me to be arrested because I'm where I want to be right now, Mendenbach said. Like the Bundys, I've been called by a higher power. We all know that this is God. This is what God called us to do. He then stated he'd been waiting 21 years to get where I am right now. Well, I think that we should give you another 21 years to keep you there. That's why I'm not poet, philosopher, king. Took you 21 years to get exactly where you're at. Orange jumpsuit, cuffed at the ankles, and your hands around a waist belt. Okay, we can keep you here for 21 years. Have fun. Testimony was expected to continue today and tomorrow from several witnesses. U.S. District Judge Anna J. Brown has already warned defense attorneys to not produce witnesses who will give similar testimonies and repeat information. It's been established, Brown said, we need new information. I have a duty to not waste the jury's time. You are going to lose those people. It's the same message. They got it. No, we need to hammer it in their heads that we're on a higher cause from God and the federal government doesn't have a right to own property in common trust for the American people, because the American people, hey, we're the American people. We control the vertical. We control the horizontal. That's why we're from the outer limits. And we must be given our due respect. Yeah, I think the jury's got it, Wink. Eamon Bundy, who led the deadlock that lasted from January 2nd through February 11th at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, is expected to take the stand again today. While testifying last week, he denied that he was the leader of the rally. He told the court that he teaches core principles to people, and then he lets them interpret it for themselves. Kind of like how Jim Jones would do it. And he had his, had his own little security detail to make sure people, adhere to those core principles.
Yeah.
We've seen this before. Bundy repeatedly stated, reportedly stated, Bundy reportedly started the protest with a goal to stand up against the federal government's authority over public lands following the arrest of Dwight and Stephen Hammond. The father and son were arrested on charges of setting fire to public lands. Yeah, we've gone over that too. Let's go back over this again. They incinerated after slaughtering a deer herd of several hundred, and then to cover their tracks, they started a forest fire on public lands that got out of control, and it would have been okay, I guess, if it stayed on public land, but no, it burned some private land also. Then they could call in the authorities, and it wasn't so much that they were being taken to jail because of burning public lands, but because they also damaged private lands of their neighbors. that they didn't care about because they wanted their land too. Then that was all settled in court. And the initial judge gave them a light sentence and didn't go by the mandatory minimums. I'm sorry. It's those people that decided that they wanted mandatory minimums to make sure that all those black and brown people were put where they should be and kept there. But since we live in this construct of due process and equal protection under law, the Hammonds had to go back and serve their 5 years. And that's a bridge too far for the Bundys. And they decided to take the law in their own hands because they say God told them to. Pretty sure that's not a good defense.
No.
Well, Patagonia gets political, and this is by Natasha Geeling out of Think Progress. It's 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night in Georgetown, and young professionals are milling around the mezzanine of an airy open space just off the neighborhood's busiest street. Gathered around a table stocked with cured meats and cheeses, attendees sip local beer and talk politics. The scene is a typical one for D.C., especially in the midst of a heated presidential election, with one important exception. Instead of taking place at one of the city's event spaces or bars, this event is at a Patagonia store, with attendees surrounded by racks of fleece jackets and outdoor gear. For more than 40 years, the outdoor clothing and gear company, founded by climber Yvon Chouinard in 1973, has operated around the core mission of creating the best products possible with the least amount of harm. Remember when Google said do no harm? They've thrown that one out the window. Patagonia's been around a lot longer than Google.
Yeah.
And they have kept true to their core mission.
Yep. Google lost that a little while ago, yeah.
This election cycle, Patagonia's commitment to politics has manifested itself in a $1 million campaign dubbed Vote Our Planet, which seeks to mobilize voters to get out and vote for candidates up and down the ballot who prioritize the environment. How quaint. What a bunch of clean air hippies. They want to breathe clean air. They want to drink clean water. What a bunch of stupid hippies. Don't they know how the world works? Huh? I don't know. How can anybody just argue against, well, I think that maybe pooping in the water and drinking it's a bad idea. Oh, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I don't feel that would happen.
Let the market decide. Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't feel that that's an issue. And you know what? That was an argument. People couldn't put it together, Going in there, downstream. Then they found out, okay, yeah, it does. It causes a problem. So then you got a factory upstream, spewing stuff into the stream. Oh, man, it's too puny. They can't control. They have no impact.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. A big push for us is the localization. There's a lot of energy being put into the presidential office, but 80% of Congress is up for re-election. We want people to look at their Senate races, their House races, their mayoral and gubernatorial and attorney general races. Hey, haven't we been saying that all along? Well, this represents a departure from the company's political campaigns of years past, which have run during presidential and midterm elections since 2004, and largely focused on national politics. This year, with the escapades of Donald Trump occupying much of the national political conversation, Patagonia decided to retool their political activism to focus on issues of local importance to both the planet and people. Issues like air pollution, water pollution, and soil degradation. Stupid stuff, because it doesn't include, beating up on Syrian refugee kids.
Right.
Bunch Bunch of hippies. And they're a company, too. You think they'd be smarter than that. You know, I just don't understand, Week.
Indeed.
Patagonia is a company seeking to engage in environmental politics without the party politics. It is in a difficult situation. And while the Vote Our Planet campaign doesn't endorse political candidates or parties, the company itself has given over $60,000 to political campaigns since 1990. Of that, only $500 went to Republican candidates. Hippie Democrats. And you know what? $60,000 since 1990? It's not like some of the numbers we hear from, places or companies like Hobby Lobby, for instance.
Right.
Patagonia has also begun using social media to extend its political outreach. The company has also been actively tweeting about energy and environmental issues, renewable energy policies and fossil fuel subsidies, fact-checking claims like clean coal, and drawing connections between a clean energy economy and job creation. And while it's not unusual for a company to use social media to extend its brand ethos, it is rare for a company to dedicate that space almost entirely to a political cause. Well, if they take away nature, they lose their company, right? Because people want to wear Patagonia clothes when they go out rock climbing and hiking.
Heck yeah.
Well, sounds reasonable to me. Hey, we better get out of here. It is Thursday, which means there's fantastic content for the rest of the day. Oh, my God. You ought to listen to Networks Radio 24/7, 365. Why? Because who loves you, baby? Okay, Wake. See you on the other side.
All right. Rope.